Hello Year 12 and welcome back to our series of videos to help you with your programming practical test. So let me show you what we are doing today. Well, here we are in video 4 and we're going to be showing the results of this average calculation as well as actually showing you the contents of the array in that list box. And when we actually show the contents of the array in the list box, it's all going to be sorted in descending order. So let me show you what we have gone and done so far. So this is it so far. Just to quickly remind you, we have initialized and we've put that in the form view so that when the form opens, all of this comes into play. Then this block of text here is going to be simply making sure that we put the number in. This shirt size is simply saying what is the title of the input box. So whatever we put in the input box is going to go into this variable, this local variable called input shirt size. We check to see if there is a number. If it is anything else other than a number, i.e. a symbol or a letter, we're going to get a message box basically saying put a number in. If there is a number in, then we do a second check. We have to make sure that it has to be less than 100. If it is over 100, so if it's 100 or less, we're good. If it's more than 100, we're going to get a message box. It's going to say you've got to put the right amount in, and it's also going to cause us to come out of the program. So if we have a number and if it is less than or equal to 100, then what happens is we are able to go into this while loop. It's a true statement, and if it's true, we can go into the while loop. Now, the shirts fall into two categories, large and small. If it's more than 50, then we're going to be here. We're going to count the number of items that are over 50, and we're going to count the actual sizes, so we get a total size. Also, if it is in the large shirt category, we are going to add it to an array. And every time we have a new large shirt size, then it's going to cause the index to move along one, and we're able to put it into the new index. The index of the array is called large shirt index. Now, if it's a small shirt, well, we just count the number of small shirt items. We count the total small shirt sizes. Finally, we have to go and check our loop again. We have to make sure that it is still true. And so we have to go and input the next shirt size. We have to check if it's a number. We have to check if it's less than 100. And if that is the case, well, then that is good. Now, to activate this while loop and everything in here, we have a button. The button is called button start. And when we click that button, it's going to call this function and we're able to use it. So let me just remind you, and I'll run it so we can see. And here we go. So we're going to press this button, start data entry. The name of this button is button start. So we click on it. And if it's a letter or anything, we're going to get a message which says it has to be a value. If it is over 100, we're going to get a message and it's going to kick us out. And if we get a number which is less than 100, well, that's good. We're able to keep on adding numbers. Okay, so all is good. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is to be able to calculate the average, and we're going to be using a second button called the average display. So let's go and do that next. So what we want to do is create a new procedure. So I'm going to go after here, I'm going to press the return button, maybe a couple of times, and in goes a comment. And so I'm going to go apostrophe procedure to calculate averages. So there's our comment, and we're going to create this new module. So we want it to be seen, so we're going to go public, and it's a sub. We need to give that public sub a name, display shirt averages, and press return. And so now we have an empty module which is called display shirt averages. So what are we going to do in here? Well, let's put a comment in. Check for large shirt and 0 values. How do we do that? Well, here we go. We'll put in if large shirt total, large shirt total equals 0, or large shirt count equals 0, then the large shirt average will always be 0. Else, and it's going to be the large shirt average will in fact be the large shirt total divided by the large shirt count. And we have our end if. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, anything which is a 0, a total, or divided by 0 will always be 0. If that's not the case, then it's going to find the average. That's going to be the total divided by the count, and we'll find the actual average. Okay, so that's all good. Now let's go and have a look at the small shirt. So we'll put a comment in, check for small shirt. And 0 values. And here we're going to do the same again. It's an if, and we'll do small. Now you can copy and paste if you want to and just change the variable names. I'm going to go do it the long way. Okay, so in this case, so if small shirt total equals 0, or small shirt count equals 0, then, and we've now got the end if in, so all those squiggles will have gone, then small shirt average has got to be 0. Else, it's going to be the small shirt average, that's obviously the result, is going to be found using the small shirt total, which will be divided by, the small shirt count. And that's fantastic. Now, how do we actually display that information? Well, let's put a comment in. Display averages in labels. And you'll remember that one of the labels is called LBL, large shirt average. So let's take that one. We put dot text, and then it's going to equal whatever the result's going to be. So that's going to be large shirt average. Press return. Let's do LBL, and this time we'll do the small shirt one. Dot text equals small shirt average. So what we have is a procedure. Now what we'll do is we'll go and connect a button to that procedure. So we'll come out of the end sub, and we'll go into the form, and I'm going to double click display average shirt size. So 1, 2, and I'm going to do what I did earlier. I'm going to go and call this procedure, and it's very simple. I'm going to go display shirt averages, and that will do the trick, and we end the sub. Okay, so let's go and have a look at that. For the moment, I'm just going to put in small values. So 45, 32, 12, 47. Okay, we'll put a minus number in to come out. And we should see a display here, and we should see a 0 there. And there we have it. Okay, we've got it there. So that's all good. Let's now go on to the next bit. So in the next part, we are going to get the contents of the array and display it in the list box. Let's do that now. So what we'll look to do in this case is again to create a new procedure. So I'm going to give it a bit of height. I'm going to press the return, and I'm going to put a comment in. So procedure to list large shirts in Listbox. Let's put that in. Procedure to list large shirts in the Listbox. And we'll call this one private sub. The name is going to be list large shirts in brackets. Press return, and our procedure is going in there. So in this case, we'll do the following. We're going to loop until we reach the end of the large shirt index. So we're going to loop until the large shirt index. Now, to do that, we have to use a for loop to work our way through this array. So we're going to just call the for loop anything. I'm going to give it the letter n. So for n equals, from the very beginning, the very first index, to the very last index, that's going to be large shirt array dot length minus 1. Press return. All right, so what have we gone and done here? Well, the first thing, we have got to work our way through this large shirt array and all the information in those indexes. So we use a for loop. We start at the beginning and we're going to go all the way through the large shirt array, the full length of it. That's why we've got the length in. Now, the reason we put a -1 in is that what happens is that the for loop will want to loop through more times than there are actual items within an array, because we start on 0. So the for loop, if you have an index of 0 to 4, we have 5 items in that array, but the for loop will want, although it goes from up to 4, that's the maximum within this array, the for loop will loop through 5 times, and that will cause an error. So we put a -1 in to stop that. So let's see what else we need to do. We also need to sort the array. So we'll put sorts the array into descending order. Now, to do that, we have to do 2 things. We need to say for this array, we don't need to name it. The first thing we need to do is to sort it. And what are we sorting? Well, we're sorting the large shirt array. So we sort it in a particular order. It could be in ascending order, but it's in that order. And then we want to put the numbers in reverse, so going from biggest to largest. So we are going to essentially array dot sort. What are we going to do? No, we're not going to sort, sorry, we're going to reverse. And once we reverse, what are we going to do for the large shirt array? And finally, we want to be able to list those values. So let's list corresponding array values. And we do that by using the list large shirt, that's tab. We want those items, that's the one we want, to be added from the large shirt array as we work our way through each of those index. So for each index in the large shirt array, add these items to the list box. Press next, end sub. And then finally we need to put in a button that's going to do that. So let's go to here, double click display list. And we are going to call this particular one. So it's called list large shirt. So list large shirts, open and close. And we have done that. Right, let's see what that looks like. So we're going to go and press the start button. And this time I'm just going to go and put in large numbers. So here we go. I'm going to put in 58, 98, 51, 89, 77, 66, 93, -1. Okay, so this time we'll just click the average and we'll see the average. And now when we display, we should see all those numbers shown in descending order in this list box. There you go. So there again, there was quite a bit to do there. So take your time, have a look at all those bits of code. Does it make sense to you? Will you be able to put something like that into your program test in the classroom? Spend some time doing that, spend some time thinking about it, and I will see you in the last video in a short while. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.